Welcome to FireTech Talk. Today we're talking with Jeff Terry, Managing Partner of Rasky Partners. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff, before we begin, can you explain a little bit about what FEMA is and specifically the Government Relations Committee, in case those haven't seen our past videos?
Sure, absolutely. So FEMA is an international trade association created in 1930 to be the voice of the commercial fire protection industry, really with a focus on hoses, valves, cabinets, portable extinguishers, and pre-engineered fire protection systems. The Government Relations Committee was created in 2003 after the devastating Station nightclub fire, after the national model codes were changed to incentivize states to require automatic sprinkler systems in a lot more occupancies. Very good idea, but they included a trade-off that limited portable extinguishers to only very hazardous areas, which was damaging to life safety and for the protection of property. And in terms of building the GRC, it's really three companies that came to the table: Amerex, Brooks, and Buckeye. And they invest significant resources every year to make sure that the Government Relations Committee is there focusing on fire codes and focusing on legislation, anything that could impact the industry. And then NAFED is a very important partner as well, with financial contributions to the program, but also as helping us with those boots on the ground.
Can you catch us up on your recent work in Washington, D.C. for the Fire Equipment Manufacturers Association?
Yeah, absolutely. So we heard in 2017, actually, from a distributor that a handful of Air Force bases across the country were beginning to remove portable extinguishers. So we dove in and figured out what happened was that the Department of Defense changed their fire code to only require extinguishers in just a handful of areas. So started to have a significant impact. We quickly went to work, started to work with the FEMA GRC member companies and worked with their congressional delegations, and we were able to get language passed in Congress 3 times, most recent being in 2021, that requires the Department of Defense to follow national model codes and to require portable extinguishers throughout the military bases across the world. While we were doing that, we also dug a little deeper to see how does the rest of the federal government treat portable extinguishers. And we discovered that the General Services Administration, which is essentially the landlord for the federal government, it's the largest landlord in the United States, that they also had that same exception. So we've been working for the past several months trying to convince people the importance of layered fire protection, the important role that portable extinguishers can have in occupant safety. And we're working towards getting some language passed in Congress, or getting the General Services Administration to just change their policy.
So as an add-on, I think many people take for granted that there are going to be fire extinguishers in the buildings that they're inside. So as you do this advocacy, what do you find are the reasons for this exception popping up?
Like a lot of things in life, it comes down to cost, is really what we've heard. So Department of Defense and General Services Administration have not been extremely forthright in explaining the exact reasons why they have done this, but cost is absolutely part of the message. They've spent money on sprinkler systems. Why do you need to have sprinkler systems and fire extinguishers? Well, there's a good reason why. Fire extinguishers are the first line of defense against a fire, can put out a fire before it reaches the temperature that a sprinkler head needs to go off. And while that's happening, there's fumes and smoke being created, and then ultimately water damage. So, for people out there that are watching this, next time you go into a federal building, you'll notice there's probably not fire extinguishers there. So you go outside to any other building, you've got one level of safety. You go into a federal building and it's less safe.
So what have been your most effective messages about why portable fire extinguishers are needed?
It's a couple things. One, we always lead with the importance of the first line of defense against a fire, right? Preventing smoke, preventing plastic, preventing fumes. So that's one piece. Then the next piece that we go into is how cost effective they are. So FEMA Government Relations Committee invested in a nationwide study to do an assessment on what's the actual cost of adding portable extinguishers to a building's fire safety system, and the cost is in many instances a penny a square foot. And then some pushback that we also get is that regular civilians, when they see a fire, they should just flee as opposed to try to fight the fire. If there's an extinguisher there, they're going to harm themselves. They're not going to know how to use that extinguisher. Well, the FEMA GRC also worked with Eastern Kentucky University and Worcester Polytechnic College in Massachusetts to actually do a study on how effective can individuals, untrained individuals, be in using a portable extinguisher. And what they found was that 98% of people, including seniors, can pull the pin and use an extinguisher. 76% of people, when they did that without any training, were able to use the proper technique. And then with just minutes of training, it was almost 100% of people were able to use that extinguisher. So we really try to dispel a lot of myths and again go back to the vital role that they play.
That's great. So just educating.
Exactly. Yep. It's educating. It's educating and utilizing the resources that the FEMA GRC has invested in.
One topic that's increased in importance is sustainability. How has sustainability impacted your advocacy for the industry?
It's a great question, and it's actually something that we're starting to invest a lot more time in now. So there's a handful of states and then also the federal government where it's just been very hard to convince them on the merits of fire safety. So beginning to focus on sustainability is just an added tool that we have. And it's especially important federal government with General Services Administration. There was an executive order that was issued that the GSA needs to take sustainability into almost every decision that they make, so that gives us an opening. So FEMA GRC invested in a study to determine what's the carbon impact of using an extinguisher to quickly put out a fire as opposed to waiting for that fire to grow large enough to trigger a sprinkler system. And it determined that, well, number one, building fires are responsible for the carbon release the same amount of between 5 and 10 million cars every year. So it's a big number. And if you use a portable extinguisher, you are reducing carbon emissions by 93% as opposed to just waiting for that sprinkler system to go off. And together, the two of them can reduce carbon emissions by 99%. So it's a powerful message, and I think it's getting us some traction.
So how does a fire equipment distributor get involved in advocating for fire extinguishers and just layered fire protection in general?
Good question. So a couple of ways. One is make sure that you have a close relationship with NAFED. NAFED does a great job of keeping distributors informed and engaged. Brooks as well does a fantastic job of that through newsletters and videos like this. So that's the first thing. Second thing is always good to build any kind of relationship that you can with a local fire official. It's very common that they will look to you. If you build that relationship, it's very common to be able to have a relationship where they can come to you with questions about how is something going to impact the industry. And then the third thing is get to know your local elected official. So they're usually nice people and they're outgoing people. They want to meet people. They want to find people who know information about various industries. Be a resource.
No, that's really helpful. Well, Jeff, this has been a great conversation. We really appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
And thanks for watching this episode of FireTech Talk. Please be sure to like and subscribe.